So my starting point today is that another public vote is not the answer, at least not yet. Right. So another public vote is not the answer, at least not yet. I did try and scare you a little bit. So I think a straight rerun of the vote is certainly not what we need. To turn up in a couple of weeks' time and have another vote as it ran in 2016 is not going to help us very much. The UK needs to make some significant changes to the way it does democracy, to the processes it uses, not least in the regulations around the public vote. It needs proper preparation for the next time. We need proper public debate, and then accepted. So the outcome should be an accepted, legitimate result that comes from the next public vote. Citizens' assemblies have been widely used around the world. They can help with divisive issues. We should, though, be quite cautious about using them. Let's not go gung-ho. We should be quite careful about the processes we use. And a citizens' assembly is not a panacea for all the political ills that we've got in front of us today. It will help, but now is a very difficult time for any changes in democracy. So we need to be careful. We need to use it in conjunction with other democratic tools, and we need to think carefully about the design of any citizens' assembly that we use. As you probably know, citizens' assemblies are being discussed by all political parties at the moment. A number of Labour MPs support it. Rory Stewart talked about it during the Conservative campaign. And in fact, 2019 looks like being a bumpy year for citizens' assemblies. It's great for people who get very excited about these things, for me. 10 proposed so far in the UK. So there's 10 citizens' assemblies that are already in planning. A variety of issues. Government-led ones, local authority-led ones, national issues, local issues. So climate change is top of the list, local authorities and other organisations. 6 citizens' assemblies on climate change are going to be held. Future of Scotland, Future of Wales, local issues around transport and national food strategy. These assemblies that we're going to hold, we're not reinventing the wheel here in the UK. This is based on years of experience now. There's been lots of experiments. There have been lots of places in the world that have used these citizens' assemblies. On the screen I've just got a few. Ontario, Citizens' Assembly on Electoral Reform was one of the first ones in Canada. There was another one in British Columbia. The one in Northern Ireland was on social care last year. This picture from Cluj in Romania is an EU-level Citizens' Assembly that I ran last year. And then also 2 years ago, there's already been an experimental one on Brexit. So they've already tried and tested to see whether it would work in relation to Brexit issues. The place most famous, or probably best known for these assemblies is Ireland. Probably heard about the referendum on abortion that followed the Citizens' Assembly and their recommendation from their report. There's a couple of pictures from the Irish Assembly, quite formal. Mary Laffey there was the chair nominated by the Irish Parliament. 2012, 2014, they had a constitutional convention. 10 topics were discussed. This one was in 2016 to 2018. Another 5 topics were discussed within these citizens' assemblies and recommendations made to Parliament. And there have been some changes as a result. As I mentioned before, the abortion laws have changed in the Republic of Ireland. So that's an introduction to citizens' assemblies. What is a citizens' assembly? What makes it different to other forms of citizen participation that we have out there? There are various formats, shapes, sizes, topics are discussed and so on. But 3 things three key stages that are specific to all citizens' assemblies. So a consultation is asking questions about people's opinions as they are now. A citizens' assembly asks a diverse group of people what their position is on a subject after they've learned about it. So they spend a significant amount of time talking about a subject, learning about a subject, and then they make their recommendations. And that being a well-informed response is one of the things that makes citizen assemblies particularly different. These are the 3 phases for any assembly. Phase 1, learning about the topic, experts, civil society, practitioners and so on will come and talk to participants about the topic. Phase 2, the deliberation phase. Participants talk to each other, they discuss, they deliberate, and importantly, everyone has the opportunity to be heard, and everyone is heard, and all opinions are heard as well. There's a diversity of opinions around the table. That deliberation usually happens in the facilitated small groups you saw on the earlier slides. The final phase is then to make recommendations. So there's usually a voting session at the end, and the citizens in the assembly, the participants will agree a report or they'll make recommendations to the authorities. So those are three things that always happen. Within that, though, there's lots of different ways you can design your citizens' assemblies. There's lots of different ways they can happen. The key things you need to think about are who is there, what are they going to talk about, how are they going to talk about these things, and why. What's the impact going to be for participants in these citizens' assemblies? One crucial thing about citizens' assemblies is this recruitment stage is random selection and then stratified. So it's randomly selected in the population, and then you get a diverse group of people at the assembly. So the idea is it's a mini group that represents society as far as we possibly can. Okay, it's very hard, so even with 200 people it's hard to replicate society, but as far as you can, you get a diverse group. So you're not just usually people talking to the people they usually talk to. Subjects, as you've seen, can be many and varied, and there's been success with all subjects. The design and facilitation, as I said, the most important thing is that everyone is heard. Ground rules are very important. The facilitators that facilitate at each table are very important in that process. And finally, the impact is critical to what happens in citizens' assemblies. In the ones I've run, participants always ask that first. What's going to happen? What's the point of me being here? So it's crucial from the beginning that we understand what this citizens' assembly is going to lead to. And if we have one on Brexit or on Brexit-related issues, it's essential that we know what the outcome is going to be. It's nothing worse than engaging in a democratic process and then it comes to nothing. They don't necessarily need to be legally binding. Impacts can have a significant influence on change, as we saw with the abortion referendum, even without being legally binding. So, my final question is a citizens' assembly the answer to the political situation that we're in at the moment? Yes, it is. It is part of the answer, but, and there's a couple of buts. It's part of the way we're going to find a reasoned indication of a compromise. So trying to find a middle ground that moves us away from this polarisation of politics that we've got at the moment. A citizen assembly can certainly help with that, but not on its own. Okay, it's not the only thing that we could use. We need to change the way referendums are done. We probably need to change some things in the way Parliament works. The voting system perhaps needs changing too. There's a lot of things that need looking at. Citizen assemblies can help, but they need to be seen as part of a democratic system. It's also a very challenging environment at the moment, and that makes it very hard to introduce something new, like a citizens' assembly. It will be attacked. Politicians will, as soon as they fear the result of a democratic process, will start to attack the process itself, however good or bad that process is. So careful design of the citizens' assembly, political support is needed, careful planning to ensure that the recommendations are taken forward. We can already see the politicisation around the citizens' assembly they're trying to organise in Scotland at the moment. They're already turning it into a sort of independence debate rather than what it was originally intended for. So in conclusion, a citizens' assembly will help when the next public vote comes. I think it's an important part of the process. Combining them together will be much stronger. But we need to be cautious, and careful design is needed for both. As I said at the start, a citizens' assembly is not a panacea for all political ills, but it will help take us forward.